All right, guys, super exciting minute here. You guys know Paul. He's one of our best buddies, longtime museum supporter, one of my dad's best friends.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, he's on our board of directors. So Paul calls me about a month and a half ago. He says, hey, I found something super special. It belongs at the museum. We're about to pull it out of the truck.
Yeah, so Matt, before I get in there, this guy's got a whole place full of stuff, old timer. His dad had this motorcycle parts, and his dad was a racer, hill climb racer.
You know we love the racing stuff.
And he's like, so he let somebody in this place, and they took advantage of him. So he wouldn't let me come to the place. So he put a couple things in his pickup truck and met me on the side of the road. And the first thing I saw was this, and I said, "Oh man."
Oh man, I can recognize the top end there.
Right there, them two exhaust pipes tells the story, my friend.
Tells the story,
Let
doesn't
me just
it?
grab this out.
Holy
we want
moly.
to look at this inside.
Yeah, let's look at it inside. Cool.
Let's take it inside there.
Holy moly, dude.
What is
it?
it?
There. It's got a 51L carburetor on it. That's a flathead 80 carburetor.
Is it? He didn't think the carburetor was the right for the motor.
It's not.
He said he just put it on there, but yeah, it's kind of cool.
Okay, so just out of the truck.
Yeah, right here.
What we're looking at, guys, I haven't seen much of it, but the top end tells you it's a Harley-Davidson pea shooter. And when Paul sent me pictures of this motor, I couldn't believe what I saw. Now, pea shooters, guys, little history. You guys saw the program on the Joe Petrali bike, the serial number 1 Harley-Davidson CAC. 1935, that's a 500cc overhead valve. They started pea shooters in 1926, and in 26, they start coming out with small displacement racing, so 350s, 500s, and it was kind of the new wave. The 1000cc stuff was fast, it was too dangerous, so what the AMA did was created smaller classes, limiting displacement to try and make racing a little bit safer. Harley-Davidson debuts the pea shooter, Indians had the Princes, Excelsior had like an overhead Super X single, but incredibly rare the pea shooters. They made them in road model form with battery ignition. Whoop, pipe came out. Made them in road model form with battery ignition, and then they made them in racing form. This one, straight off the bat, I can tell has the racing head. Now, what we're looking at, guys, if you can check this out, 31 SA 501. This is serial number 1 from 1931. It doesn't get any cooler than this. Special Baby Bosch Racing Magneto, ultra rare. Now, right off the bat in the photos, I could tell this was a racing engine because what you've got are actually dual ports. So you've got two ports, and this one, it's kind of interesting.
This is interesting what they did. Is there some kind of trick about this, man? What is this all about?
Well, the dual ports, and you got one exhaust valve, 2 ports. They started this in 1928, so 26, 27, first 2 years of pea shooters just had the single port. And they come out with the dual port on only the racing stuff in 28. Most of the guys didn't like the dual ports, from what I understand. So this one's been blocked off. Yeah. So they blocked this off, and I assume it's a back pressure thing.
But back pressure cause more horsepower, or
you know what?
Or to restrict it?
I think Harley's idea was these motors are made to be wide open, so get the exhaust out. And
right.
You know, the further you go into the future, you start to realize that it's about velocity. It's not about the volume, because exhaust is high pressure. So it was really probably too much and a decreased velocity. And when you get these sorts of engines, the exhaust is part of what pulls the intake. So guys, incredibly rare engine. It's got what my dad always called the crossfin cam cover. This is the beginning of the pinion oilers, okay? So really early on, it's a super primitive oil pump. It just dribbles oil inside of the cam chest. This particular pump, actually, the oil pump pumps oil through this passage in the cam cover, through this passage in the cam cover, out this way, into the pinion shaft, right to the connecting rods. So this cam cover is as rare as the head, it's as rare as the engine.
Very rare.
And for this thing to be a serial number one machine, it just doesn't get any cooler. Magneto looks They got Baby Bosch Racing Mag. Look at the points, look brand new. Look at the fiber there, it's all set up.
He said he took it out of the frame. It was running.
It's got
and
the
he ran it on
kill
the street.
switches hanging from it. Ran it on the street. I noticed. So these bikes, the racing engines at this time, or race bikes, they would run 520 chain. You can see that this thing has a double row sprocket. So it was in a street bike with a transmission.
Yeah.
Racing engine from the beginning, no doubt. This is exact. Oh, it spins. Look at that. Valves moving. Valves here. Let's just look this way. You're looking for it. Valves moving there, Steve. You got. Oh, there's the exhaust moving. So exhaust is coming up. Ooh, that's got some spring tension. Wow. Exhaust is moving. Then the intake's coming up. Wow. Really cool. So one of the neat things I'm seeing about this is it's got a flat wound exhaust spring. And if you come around on this side, Steve, and look right inside, I don't know how well you can see in there, but it's a flat spring, which is, I believe, the original spring to this engine. Newer model spark plug, still got a top motor mount, and some of it looks a little homemade. Carburetors are chromed out. It's an M51L carburetor, which is really cool, dude. That's a flathead 80 carburetor.
Okay.
So it's for a 37 to 41 80 cubic inch flathead. I'll use that on something else. But yeah, so guys, here at the museum, great pea shooter collection, incredibly rare stuff. And my dad got really into the racing stuff when he was young and started to chase down as much as he can. Over the years, found some incredibly rare pea shooters. One of my favorite, it's almost finished, so we're going to be doing more programming on this throughout the winter, is a 1932 serial #1 pea shooter racing engine, just like this, raced by Joe Petrali. We've got the whole bike back there. The chassis is almost finished, and the engine, I need to put some piston rings in, and that thing will be a bike again. So as it goes, 1931 serial #1, 1932 serial #1, and the 1935 serial #1 Joe Petrali CAC, guys. So, you know, the museum here, as you guys know, rare bikes, bikes with character, personality, great stories, bikes with history, racing stuff beyond compare, originality. This, Paul, is
good find,
right at home, man.
Awesome.
You're the man, dude. I appreciate everything.
I'll find some more. I'll try.
keep me posted.
Cool.
Guys, doesn't get much cooler. 1931 Harley SA 501, #1, guys. All right, stay tuned. We're gonna make you know, I've got a frame for this.
You got a frame.
Yeah. So
He's got some transmissions and stuff
we
too.
start digging up the right parts for this, and we can turn it back into what it was, guys. So
awesome.
Thanks for tuning in. More history coming at you guys. Wheels Through Time, Museum That Runs.